What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart on a weekend update. So I'm here in West Virginia. I've got my cup of coffee. It is raining outside. And I thought, you know what? Let's just have a cool chat about what's going on with Bitcoin this morning. With the excitement that's been going on, right? We're back above $60,000 for Bitcoin. Lots of exciting news narratives out there right now with a Bitcoin futures contract ETF set to come to market next week. And while with us being back at the all-time high, it's kind of like a redemption for a lot of people who really suffered through May and June and July and held on to that faith that the market would recover. This was something, from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin looked like it was going to recover, and we stayed true with that message throughout the entire time period of May, June, and July. But I wanted to kind of just like, as it's Saturday morning, I'm sitting out here on, over on the East Coast of the United States in a rainy weather day, just kind of contemplating what the future looks like in the coming weeks with Bitcoin and with the excitement of Bitcoin and what's going to happen with the pricing and what is the sentiment going to be like? What's the excitement going to be like? And are people, we're going to see what we normally see, right? When prices break out into new all-time highs, you see the people who are screaming that you're a FUD starter if you think the top's going to be coming in, or you're going to see the price predictions of extreme euphoric pricing, right? So we have to kind of go back and think about how this market has played out over the last several months, in which we had a big draw in of retail investors back in the springtime, right? Back in March, April, and May, a huge draw in of retail investors to buy Bitcoin in the 50s and $60,000. Then the price plummeted down to the high 20s, right? With like 28, $29,000. And essentially all of those people capitulated on it. And then now the price is back up to those prices once again, back to $60,000 again. And if we break out into new all-time highs, what's going to happen with the media frenzy that goes along with that, right? What's going to happen with the super excitement that goes along with that? Because the reality is, I don't think there's really a whole lot more left in Bitcoin. And I think we're coming up to the very end of the Bitcoin bull run. And now everybody calm down. Let's take a step back, right? So my expectations have been that Bitcoin would get between 72 and $85,000. I've got the full 4.236 extension drawn out here over here on Bitcoin, and you can see that gets you up to about $73,000. If you were here during May and June and July, I drew out this inverse price chart for Bitcoin and really kind of compared it and showed how this is a standard crashing structure that I revert back to all the time. When I'm trying to find the bottom of something, I will very specifically look for this exact crashing structure. So when I turn Bitcoin upside down, right? So we're looking at the whole bull run. This is March of 2020, and you can see the price down there, 3,920. And as this chart goes down, the price is actually rising over here for Bitcoin. And you can see right over here right now, we're sitting at, $60,000 right down in here. But my expectation has been that this price would hold right in here and that we would head down this way, right? And that there would be one new low set over here on the inverse price chart of Bitcoin, which would mean there would be one new high. As the price falls on this chart, the price of Bitcoin rises. I've shown many examples of this, and up here on the top, I've got the inverse Bitcoin price chart. Down here on the bottom, I have the XRP price chart during the SEC sell-off, and that we have the same crashing structure that shows up all over the place. It's over there on Ethereum, it's on Bitcoin, it's on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 come in for wave 5, roll back up to wave 6, and then finally you just kind of creak your way over here, and then finally it falls out on itself and you have the final move, and then that would mark the bottom, right? Well, that's where we're at with Bitcoin. It's what I've been kind of anticipating for to happen with Bitcoin, and that as we were getting right in here, you could see that there is a pause that happens back here at this level, which is where we're at with Bitcoin. So I would expect for Bitcoin, there's likely some pausing that's going to happen right in here at before we end up breaking through the all-time high. And so since we're looking at it inverse, once it pushes down, that's a break into the all-time high. But you can see in all the examples I've ever looked on, this is kind of what happens. We just have our final little push that happens here in Bitcoin, and that we go in, we set one new high for Bitcoin, and that's the end of the bull run. Gig is up for Bitcoin. That's it. That's the end. And then it'll take years after that for Bitcoin to work its way back down to $14,000 or lower. Yikes. I know that's a pretty bold statement to make right there, right? There's only one little push above the all-time high coming right now. And then after that, the price is going to gradually degrade itself for years until we get to 14,000 or lower. And yeah, that's what the charts have told us. I was able to remain consistent through the entire time period of May and June and July for Bitcoin due to staying true to the structures of what were happening on the charts. And if I'm going to remain that way and not turn into some type of FOMO boy, I have to tell you like it is, in that the likely thing still coming is a new all-time high for Bitcoin. And then after that moment happens, that is the end. You can see over the course of years, prices will just work their way all the way back. And that's hard to believe right now, right? With the excitement that's coming, it's like, wait a minute, no, that's not what the S2F model says. It's not what everybody says. Everybody's saying for 100K, El Salvador president, he's buying it. He's saying 100K. You got everybody saying $100,000. And you've got this whole Bitcoin ETF thing, right? That we don't really understand, but it's the ETF and it has the Bitcoin name in it, right? So all of that's happening at the same time too. But I wanted to just kind of, express this that, I stayed strong through the whole time period in May, June, and July because of this. Okay. I stayed really strong with my opinions on that we would still go on to see a new all-time high for Bitcoin because structurally we were setting up that way for the Bitcoin price chart. But the setup only takes you to 72 to $85,000 and then we go into bear market. Long-term bear market for Bitcoin. These prices we're at right now with $60,000 Bitcoin, I have already sold the Bitcoin that I would consider to be in any way a short-term hold. The Bitcoin I own right now, which is 35% of my remaining Bitcoin, is Bitcoin I'm willing to ride down to $13,000 with. And it's money that I expect to ride down to $13,000 with. For a lot of people, they're not going to understand that. Why would you do that, right? There's always a chance I'm wrong. I'm willing to accept that there's always a chance that I'm wrong, and that's why I hold the 35%. What if I'm wrong? But the reality is I sold two-thirds of my portfolio of Bitcoin because I don't think I'm wrong. Move us back to this one so we can see it more clearly. But those who have watched this channel for a long time have without question seen this. And you can see right here on this, we're now battling back in here. And the way this thing usually plays out when the final grand finale comes in for a bottom on a crashing structure like this is you'll break below this low over here. You'll come back and test the low, and then you set one new high. And this is the end, or one new low. And that's the end of it. That's the end of the move. The move is done. Then, boom, back it goes. Just want to make sure it's very clear. That's where I think we're at. I do think that Bitcoin is going to break into the new all-time high, as I've always said. I believe it's going to go to somewhere between 72 and $85,000, and that's the end of the bull run. And it doesn't seem like that's really going to be that far away from a time perspective. And that when this usually happens, we do bounce around in here for just a minute, working out this level. Then finally, the break, the back test, the final push up, and then it's over. Bitcoin's done. Now, this also correlates with our Fibonacci extensions over here, which take us out to 72 to $74,000. Also correlates with the full extension of the Bitcoin super cycles that happen. And I know a lot of people really, really want to believe that we're in here right now, but I've built the case over and over again that we're just not. And that phase of the market was back in here, where the top came in here, and then the bottom came in down in here. And then that structurally, we had a crash, retrace, reaccumulation breakout, in which we have a crash, retrace, reaccumulation breakout. And that the end of the Bitcoin bull run is just right around the corner. So on the super cycle size, we're right there. From a fractal perspective, we're right there. From a Fibonacci extension perspective, we're right there. And we've spent the last 5 months talking about the inverse Bitcoin price chart and talking about the structure of what's happening in here. There's just 7 waves, right? One, two, three, four. And then in the fifth wave, you have a one, two, three, four, five that happens in here with wave six rotating back up to wave four within wave five. And then it goes on to create the seventh wave. Just like I've shown in many examples in here, right? And just like with XRP, you can see the pause happening right down here. And then there goes your final push. You could see what even happened for XRP right here. It still teased for a long time before it really started turning around, right? You could see how it broke down. It broke down right in here, pulled back, and then still hung out in here. What would that look like for Bitcoin, right? If it broke back up and then stayed here, it could stay here well into 2022, still stay up in these prices, hitting $60,000 over and over again, well into 2022. teasing for a super long time that the market is still going to continue rising back to the upside. I just don't think that it will. I think for Bitcoin, and and I'm not saying that with like a laughing tone as in ha ha ha. I I'm laughing because it's crazy that Bitcoin is $60,000. This is something that we've expected for a very long time. Those who have watched this channel for a long time, those who have taken the course on bcbacker.com, these were the prices we expected. We expected all the craziness to happen up in here at these actual prices. It's crazy that we're actually living in that moment. Because back in 2019 and 2020, the comments section of my videos were a lot different than what they are today. We were in a prolonged bear market. We had been in it for years. And the question I got over and over again is that essentially being called a moon boy, the fact that I was expecting 50, 60, $70,000 Bitcoin prices, being called a moon boy, being told over and over again, why would anybody ever pay that much money for Bitcoin? And at that time, we were sitting at like $5,000 Bitcoin. Why would anybody pay $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for Bitcoin? And the reality is, I told them, I don't know why, but there will be a reason. There will be a narrative that will go along with it to justify spending that much money on Bitcoin at that time. And we're living in that moment right now. What is the justification for spending that much money on Bitcoin at this point? Well, they finally caught on to inflation. You got the Bitcoin ETF, you got El Salvador, you have huge marketing teams, right? Social media profiles who have generated huge followings. We're living in it. But the scary part of it all, and that's why I always say all the time, it's questionable and if we're living in a simulation, is that the charts always told us this is what would happen. If you don't believe it, go take the course on bcbacker.com. The charts always told us it was going to do this. Recorded a lot of that content in August of last year. Bitcoin was like $10,000. Ethereum was $400. These are the prices that it always said we were going to go to. And then as we get there, who in their right mind would actually buy the prices as they got that high? And we're living in it right now to see it. This is how the excitement happens, the grouping, the herding of people, the narratives. And I just want to be really, really clear that I think the end of the Bitcoin bull run is right around the corner, and it's as we set new all-time highs. If Bitcoin wants to fire off to 100, $200,000 and prove me wrong, by all means, please do it. You would not believe how much more I would benefit if that would happen. I'm holding on to 35% of my Bitcoin. I'm willing to ride or die with it. I fully expect I'm going to be riding that 35% Bitcoin that I have left down to $13,000. Fully expect it. I would much rather ride it all the way up to $200,000 without question. But I don't think I'm wrong. I do think I'm right. And I want to make it really clear. Bitcoin is up 1,400% in the last year and a half. I know people get really excited over 4 or 5% right now, but that just goes to show you how euphoric the market is. I don't think we have much further to go once we finally do get that break that happens in the Bitcoin price chart when it finally does set that new high, like we always see. And I know if you're tuning into this for the first time, you're looking at this structure thing that I've got written right here on the screen. You're thinking I'm probably just a goofball, but I've spent way too much time diving into this thing. And I stayed true to myself. I stayed true to my beliefs in May, June, and July when everybody was really screaming that it was the end of the bull run. We were in a bear market. Just admit that we're in a bear market. I stayed true to myself and what I believed, and I followed this. I stuck true to believing that Bitcoin would reach out to the 4.236 Fibonacci extension. I stayed true to believing that this crashing structure was what was going on the inverse Bitcoin price chart and that it would set a new low on the inverse price chart, which meant a new high for Bitcoin. And I stayed true to my belief that I thought that we would have a 50% crash come in Bitcoin like we did back in 2013. And you can't see it on here, but there is a 50% crash that occurred on the Bitcoin price chart right in here, similarly to what we had happen in here. And that we are not sitting here where this market is sitting here ready to go, just euphorically blasting off into thousands of dollars, but that we're right here at the very final phase, which is somewhere between 72 and 85,000. Then, if we zoom in on a shorter time frame and kind of look at what's been happening over here on Bitcoin, we can just see like the head and shoulders. Let me put that back on. We could see the head and shoulders coming in here. We could see the back test of the head and shoulders that occurred back in here, right there, right? And if you do a measured move of a head and shoulders, you do it from the bottom of the head to the neckline, and then we move it out here. Where does it get us to? Look where that takes you. It takes you right there to just below $75,000. Every single thing on here points to this 72 to $85,000 price level for Bitcoin being the top and it being the end of the Bitcoin bull run. And the structure that we've been talking about for 5 months now, with it rolling back up for wave six to wave four within wave five, and then it would go on to set a new low on the inverse price chart of Bitcoin. It all says it that this is the final phase of Bitcoin. As it breaks out into a new all-time high, every single thing points to it that the top of it's coming in up in here, and that the likely thing that occurs in these scenarios is that Bitcoin works its way here, breaks out into a new high, back tests the all-time high, sets one new little pump, and that's the end. We see a big fall. What does this mean, right? So it's just what I'm just communicating to you is I think this is the end of the Bitcoin bull run. Great part about that, though, is that when we look through the history of the cryptocurrency market and how this market behaves, the end of the Bitcoin bull run signifies the beginning of the super excitement that happens for the altcoin market. And that it doesn't mean that it's the end of the cryptocurrency bull run. It just means it's the end of the Bitcoin bull run. And that things get very hot, very exciting, very heated, very wild in cryptocurrency and in altcoins as this moment happens for Bitcoin. It's what's happened in 2013. It's what's happened in 2017. So I'm really excited for this moment. I'm thrilled for this moment. But I'm not a Bitcoin believer of higher prices. And I want to make sure that's communicated thoroughly that I do not consider Bitcoin to be investment worthy. And that's a very strong statement for someone to make on YouTube who has 200,000 subscribers. Blockchain's in the name of my channel. Cryptocurrency is my life. And I'm saying I don't think Bitcoin's worthy of investing in long term currently. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is not investment advice. Do your own research. I should just be a part of your research. As Bitcoin breaks into its new all time high, I do believe that's the end of the Bitcoin bull run for several years. But as Bitcoin does this, historically, this is where the craziness happens in crypto. So, looking at it from the perspective of, oh no, he thinks the Bitcoin bull run's going to be over. That's the moment historically that has marked craziness. That's the moment that has marked huge rotation in the market, absolute chaos in the market, and all the cryptocurrencies, all the altcoins go absolutely bananas. And when I look at the chart over here on the total altcoin market cap and see what it looks like and what has occurred over here is that we've double tapped the top of the all-time high, breakout, backtest into the bull flag, V bottom, cup and handle, typical standard format at this location. And typically it sends us off on 5 waves. I think the altcoin market is going to absolutely be the star of the show. And there will be a lot of people just sitting there in Bitcoin watching the altcoin market and screaming and hooting and hollering and saying, no, 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 Bitcoin maximalism. And I think they're all going to get left behind again. Just like they bought the top of the Bitcoin bull run, I think they're going to sit there waiting for Bitcoin to go up again. But if we watch this altcoin market take off, and that's one of those things I always say too, if we see the altcoin market going crazy, it's confirming it. It is absolutely without question confirming that the top of the Bitcoin bull run is in. That is what happened at the top of all of the Bitcoin bull runs. If the altcoin market goes completely nuts, that totally confirms the top of Bitcoin is in. Because that means all the interest has been lost in Bitcoin, even if it sits there and stays at $60,000 for 6 months or a year, whatever it does, if it just stays there and goes flat for that whole time, the fact that the altcoin market took off shows it. It's happened every time. So while we're sitting here talking about this being the end of the Bitcoin bull run, that's always been part of my plan. That's always been a very good part of my plan. And I want that to happen. I'm not sitting here with confirmation bias trying to tell you this is going to happen because I'm biased in believing that it's going to happen because it's what I want for my portfolio. I have done with my portfolio and followed a plan through to what I've described on this channel, where Bitcoin would go to, the prices it would go up to, when I would rotate my portfolio, all these things following technical structures and technical price levels. So as Bitcoin goes into this moment, this has been the spark that has lit the altcoin market on fire whenever that Bitcoin price tops and it starts collapsing on itself. Whenever that Bitcoin price tops and starts falling back, that has been the spark to ignite the altcoin market. And I think we're right there at that moment as Bitcoin breaks into the all time highs. And we're going to see what's going to happen. We might watch the things that we always see happen where people capitulate on their altcoins, they buy Bitcoin at the all time high. I don't know, but it's a super exciting moment for me watching Bitcoin do this because I've been a student of this market for many years now. I mean, almost 5 years at this point. I've spent just as much time as the best and the best out there. I've spent 8 hours a day for 5 years studying this market, looking for this precise moment, the top of the Bitcoin price chart to come in. And we've got all the things lined up for it. And historically, as I've been a student of the market and studied the market as much as I can, and I put it into a course and try to like give you a crash course on everything I've learned, it all points to this. This moment is the moment to shine for the altcoin market. So I'm excited for it, but I want to communicate it very clearly. I think Bitcoin is 20% or less away from reaching its top and that it is going into a multi year bear market. Very clear with that. I am a bull on the altcoins that have still not broken into their all-time highs. And in previous market cycles, the true show-stopping events at the end of the cryptocurrency bull runs have been these altcoins that were lagging behind. And one of those, of course, is the XRP price chart. And I expect fireworks to go off over here on XRP. I expect fireworks over there on Bitcoin Cash, Dash, Zcash, EOS. All these guys who are still lagging behind their all-time highs. You've got a lot of the new excited retail investors chasing a lot of the coins at the all-time highs, the altcoins that are at their all-time highs. I'm not sitting there saying those are going to skyrocket. If it's in an all-time high at this point, I don't know if it's going to go much higher than where it's at. But you've got Litecoin, right? You've got Stellar Lumens, XRP, all these coins still below their all-time highs. All these ones below their 2017, 2018 all-time highs. Those are the coins I'm really excited about. The ones that still have the potential to absolutely go crazy. And at the end of Bitcoin bull runs, when tops come in, historically, they have. And so it's a hugely exciting moment for the cryptocurrency market as the top of Bitcoin does come in. And I'll be here for the whole ride. And so I know the tone of this video came off very, you know, strong. I'm trying to get this message across strong that, I don't think there's much more left in Bitcoin. What if it doesn't even get to 72? It might not. As long as it's above the all-time high of what it was set back there in April, it's good enough for me. My best guess is there between 72 and 75, but hey, it could get euphoric. There could be a blow off. It could take it to 85, I think. But my best guess, 72 to 85. Maybe it only happens at 69. Who knows? But either way, it's all about chasing small percentages over there on Bitcoin at this point. Again, in the last year and a half, it's gone up 1,400%. How many people are going to chase the final 2%? 1,400%. There's going to be people who are chasing 1%, 2%, 3% with their whole bags, trying to get that last little bit, with the downside risk being 85% to the downside, 85% loss. I've been a bull on Bitcoin the whole time I've had my YouTube channel. The whole time. Never shied away from it that I thought Bitcoin would get up to these prices. Even when I was selling my Bitcoin at $45,000 to $58,000, justification I gave was that it would have a 50% crash and then it would set a new all-time high. So I was still bullish on Bitcoin regardless of if I'm selling it or not. It's because I was playing the market, playing the percentages. There's not much left in Bitcoin at all. The risks over there on Bitcoin, I think, are absolutely huge. Maybe I get proven wrong. Maybe it breaks out to much higher prices. But you know what? I've been right up until this point. I have to stay true to it that I'm right up until this point. And you know what? This is literally the one time. I don't think anybody wants to, especially in my shoes, right? 200,000 YouTube subscribers, blockchain backer, to sit there and say I'm calling the top of Bitcoin for years and that it's going into a multi-year bear market. That's not something I want to do. I would much rather sit here and say, hey, this fun is just going to keep going on for forever and we're going to keep on moving up. But I've tried to be as straightforward with you guys on this channel as I can, try to be as realistic with you as I can. And I'm staying true to that moment, even right now. This is a video that is probably going to get a lot of thumbs down on it. And I understand that. It's not me just providing some biased FUD starting opinions. It's data. I've tried to show you the data. It's, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm providing you data. It's up to you to do your own research. You can take the data that I'm presenting you and say that that is hogwash, that is worthless data, throw it out the window. It's entirely wrong. I'm not going to accept that data. And that's fine. That's up to you. But I'm going to present it to you. I'm going to show you what the data says. I'm going to try to interpret the data the best that I can. And the way that I interpret it and the way I've interpreted it, remaining strong, providing that pick me up, that little bit of reassurance for the last several months was that this was the structure that we were doing, which would revert it back up to 72 to $85,000. And but that's still always said during that time. That's where the top of Bitcoin would come in. And now we're getting pretty close to that, right? At above $60,000. So just letting you know, I'm almost a bear on Bitcoin. I'm almost a big bear on Bitcoin, but I'm a super mega massive bull on the altcoin market. And the exciting times for altcoins are just around the corner. And I'm really excited for all the people who are in the altcoins. I'm excited for me because I'm in the altcoins. I look forward to what the future has in store for us, but there's a lot of craziness that's going to happen and expect the wild narratives to come. If Bitcoin breaks out into a new all-time high, which I fully believe it will, I think we'll see bigger narratives than just this whole Bitcoin futures ETF stuff. I think it'll probably be a lot bigger than all of that. But either way, one thing to take note of too is in the 2017, 2018 top of Bitcoin, it was marked to the day of Bitcoin futures being traded. So here we go. We're at this price level once again. We're almost at the 4.236 extension. What are we getting? An ETF of Bitcoin futures. So, you know, take that into account too, right? So, either way, altcoins, excited for the altcoins. A lot of research, a lot of studying has gone into this market, and this moment has always pointed to this is where altcoins go nuts. And so I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to what's coming in the next several weeks and potentially even months. So as Bitcoin now is battling up against its all-time high, and which is the low here on the inverse Bitcoin price chart, from a structure perspective, it is all followed along with what we've been looking for a long time. And well, our big moment seems to be right around the corner. So the exciting times of the cryptocurrency market are coming very close. And if you've been with this channel a long time, and if you were with me through May, June, and July, this is exactly what I was looking for. And I know it sounds scary to say that the top of the Bitcoin market is right around the corner, but this is all part of it. This is part of what happens in this market before the altcoins go nuts. And that's what happened in the past. So I'm sticking with it. Stay true to this. Stay true to all of it. I'm telling you like it is. I think the Bitcoin top's coming in very soon, but I'm also telling you like it is. I think the show-stopping event's going to be in the altcoin market. So it's an exciting time, but I wanted to definitely have a video out there being very clear and straightforward that I think the top of Bitcoin is right around the corner. And I think it's going to happen as we get into the new all-time highs. And I think it's going to be during a very exciting moment. And I think the narratives will be very exciting for Bitcoin. But I wanted to show you all the reasons and justifications for why I think the top of Bitcoin is coming in. I would be more than happy to be wrong. This is not something where I have some bias where I need to be right. I'm not shorting Bitcoin. I'm not doing anything with Bitcoin here that is going to financially do something for me where I need the prices to go down. I would significantly benefit by the prices going higher would benefit me financially. So I would prefer the prices to go higher, but I'm being very clear that I believe the top of Bitcoin in a multi-year bear market is right around the corner. So I want to be clear that I'm a bull on the altcoin market, and I think the exciting time for the altcoin market is also right around the corner. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. I wanted to put this video out there because Bitcoin has risen a lot over the last several months. We've been anticipating the prices to get up here, but you look at the percentages of what it's risen from 29,000 to 62,000. That's an over 100% price increase. And that's been expected to happen here for Bitcoin. And now, as we get closer to that price level, right, $72,000, we're less than 20% away from there. So the bulk of the move has already happened. The majority of the move has already happened. And it's time for me to just start saying, I can't believe it. Here we are. We're getting there. It's time to talk about it. So Wanted to throw that out there for you guys, but of course, I'm very excited for the altcoin market. Do not interpret this as me being concerned or worried about the altcoin market at this time. That time will come later, but I just wanted to make sure I expressed my thoughts about Bitcoin because it's who I am. I want to express it out there and throw it out there, even though I know there will be a lot of disappointment in hearing that. All right, I am going to wrap it up. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, you can check out my website over here, which is bcbacker.com, which is a course that I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs and the different altcoin market cycles. And I tie them all together. And I talk a lot about why Bitcoin has done these big mega super cycles, the extensions they've reached out to, showing stuff like I showed in here, but into much more detail. I talk about my personal exit plans here in this course, and I teach you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. And then I also talk a lot about mathematics and percentages and why those things matter so much too. And that's kind of what it comes down to with Bitcoin there. The mathematics and the percentages just don't really make much more sense there. That's why I'm way more focused on the altcoin market at this point. But I deep dive into all that kind of stuff here in this course. And then I do also have a market update that I included in here recently on September 30th. That's available to anybody enrolled in the course and anybody who newly enrolls in the course. And you can check out all of this educational content over here on bcbacker.com. You can follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And well, that's going to wrap it up. I'm still in West Virginia. It's a rainy day today. Tomorrow, I guess I'll tell you where I'm going tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to Kentucky. So we're going to spend a couple of days in Kentucky starting tomorrow. Please excuse the audio in this video as I am recording it with my laptop. I'm not super experienced with recording videos on my laptop. I'm usually using a pretty high-powered PC back home with multiple monitors, and here I'm using a laptop with one monitor, so it's just kind of jumping around doing a lot of stuff. But anyway, tomorrow will be a travel day for me to Kentucky, so there will be no video tomorrow. But maybe we can get one out there on Monday. No guarantees, but I will try my best. I'll see. Either way, you can check out my website, bcbacker.com. You can follow me on Twitter at bcbacker. I will be updating stuff over there on Twitter. I do post on Twitter even though I'm on vacation, and obviously I record videos even though I'm on vacation. But either way, I am going to wrap it up now. Thank you so much for watching my channel. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.